Today, we have a better idea of who will get the COVID-19 vaccine first in Minnesota and then who will follow. At an afternoon news conference, the governor and state officials say the state is required to follow federal CDC guidelines. Health Commissioner Jan Malcolm said healthcare workers, long-term care workers, and long-term care residents are in Group 1A, and they will get the vaccine first. Group 1B includes first responders like firefighters, paramedics, and police officers, and they will be the second in line for the vaccine. Here's Esme Murphy.
The vaccine information was made public at a news conference spotlighting how COVID has decimated not only hospital staff, but the ranks of Minnesota's first responders. 20% of Minnesota's 500 fire departments have had major COVID outbreaks.
Before we knew it, over 3/4 of our fire department had been affected in one way or another from the virus.
Plato, Minnesota's fire department in rural McLeod County had to temporarily shut down, relying on mutual aid departments miles away. In Egan, with 20% of his staff sidelined by COVID, the police chief had to change practices.
Our enforcement efforts have been modified. I won't get into detail as to what we've had to change, but we've had to shift those to make sure that our staff members are safe.
The effort by the governor to call attention to first responders comes on the same day that the Minnesota Fire Chiefs Association asked that first responders be moved into the first category of those getting vaccinated. The state says it has no choice but to put first responders second to healthcare workers because of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunizations, or ACIP, guidelines.
We're actually required to follow the 1A, 1B, 1C framework that the ACIP laid out.
And while the first shipment of vaccine in Minnesota is expected next week, the first vaccines will likely be given closer to Christmas. These first responders say they are eager to get their dose.
As a paramedic, as a 911 provider, I will be first in line to get a vaccine based on what I've read from the data, the research.
The eagerness of first responders to get the vaccine and to get it as soon as possible stands in contrast to the public. The most recent Gallup poll found that 58% of Americans would be willing to get the vaccine, but that 42% would not. Esme Murphy, WCCO 4 News.
Group 1C is all the rest of us who are not healthcare workers or first responders. Distribution of vaccine to that group will also have to be prioritized.